Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going back to a Tica Caiman. This one has a worn bridge drive gear. The teeth on the top of this have been cross-stripped, which no longer allows it to hold the nut. And so the reel came back in for repair when the handle came loose. So we're going to show you how to replace that drive shaft today, and you'll also get a look at the internals of this reel as we're doing it. So the Tica is a nice reel. Its headquarters are in Kent, Washington. They make reels and poles, and I found their customer service to be excellent in terms of having the stock of parts and being able to get them to you in a short period of time. This one is the Caiman Striper LE201, and we'll show you how to take it apart and replace that drive shaft. So the first thing you're going to do is take the handle and the star drag nut off, and then we can release the one screw that holds the side plate in, and then simply turn it just a little bit to open up the interior of the reel. Once that interior of the reel is open, the main assembly is really held on by two screws. I'm just looking to think that I need to take the two nuts on the shaft off here while we do this. So high quality reel, lasts a long time when maintained properly, and one that I happen to like. I personally have had the opportunity to fish the Tica reels, and I think that they're a great asset, and certainly one that doesn't let you down when you go out to do your fishing. Just trying to find the right wrench to remove that the nut on the assembly for the drag tightening. I always got to remember when I do these reels that this is a left-handed reel, so you have to turn clockwise to remove the nuts. So there you go. And then there's a series of tension washers and a little shim shield here to sit on top of the bearings. All right, now I should be able to remove that piece. Okay, two screws in the back then. They're Phillips head screws. You'll notice a couple of things as I'm doing this. The first is that I use a parts tray there for all my small pieces and parts so that we don't lose it. And then the second thing you'll notice is I wear that protective glove on my hand to keep the contaminants and the like from the oils and lubrication and so on inside that reel. I like to keep that off my hand where I can. Those two screws removed, we should be able to press down now and remove the cap. That's a little shim that belongs on top of the collar. And this is what we're after. We need to replace this drive shaft. In order to do that, there's a C-clip on the back here, or an E-clip. And I use a pin for that. And generally you can hold one side of this. They're not high pressure. Hold one side, push down on the other side, and you'll see that it separates. And then just be careful, because if you lose it, you're going to make a trip somewhere to go get a replacement. Or you're going to call up Tica, which is a great service organization, and you're going to say, hey, I need your help here. I just bought the drive assembly, but I lost the E-clip in the meantime. So I'm just putting these out in the order that they came in. I should be able to pull the shaft out now. There we go, the shaft is out. And all we want to do now with the new shaft is replace it in the same order that it came out. So I ordered a replacement shaft and a replacement nut because the first time around we noticed that this was scored and cross-stripped, but we don't know if the nut was cross-stripped in the process, and there's no sense going in and just ordering one piece and then having to go back and order the others. So this is from the inside of the reel now, so we know that there's a ball bearing on there, and then the rest of it can be done topside once this is relocated. So let's go ahead and just put that back in then. There's one more shim washer that was in here. Let's see if we can put it on without pulling it off. We did. Okay, and then there's a series of the shim washers. I laid them out right on my table there. I didn't put those into the parts baskets because I knew I was going to write back for them. And these really are small washers. There's two more. Let's sit on this. And then we should be able to put that E-clip back on. Got pieces falling out on the other side. That's the pieces for the free spool release. We'll put those back in right after we get this locked in here. So you saw me take it out with a clip. I use a needle nose pliers just to grab the center point of that E-clip and the shaft that it needs to load onto, and that's simply reinstalling that. So the drive gear is back on now. Now we're going to take the other pieces off. And this reel was serviced not that long ago, so I'm not going to go into the drags at all. But had you done the drag service on this reel, you would be reinstalling it this way. This is just some grease. So first up then is the anti-reverse click. And that's a click that rides. I have that backwards. That's a click that rides, but it's got a rectangular base, so you have to be sure that you seat that properly. If you seat it out of skew, it's not going to be effective, and it's going to give you a wobble that won't allow you to close the reel down. So oops, should have put the other one in first. I realized that came off now. Let's go ahead and do that. So this is your free spool assembly. It's going to sit in here. Now we can put our main there's a washer that goes underneath here with the two studs. That's what I was looking for there. That's the next piece on. And we can put the main drive on. Metal gear, metal washer, fabric washer. The middle one is an eared washer is next. The eared washer sit in those holes. Fabric washer. Not completely in there. Metal washer. And the collar. Then you saw those two springs that fell out earlier. Those belong on the posts for the free spool release. And we can grab our jacket and put that back on. You want to line that up with the holes. You'll generally hear a click like you just heard. The two nuts are next. Screws rather. Phillips head screws. That's the way we took the case off. And we'll give it a test drive as soon as we tighten down those two screws. So relatively easy task. The most important thing is just keeping the sequence of the pieces you took off and installed. Now you saw me have a little trouble with some springs falling out. You saw some other pieces going awry there. Get the schematic for the reel and make sure that you take pictures along the way just in case something like that happens. Now in this case I had worked on this reel previously, so I know the general layout of the reel, and it doesn't present a problem to me, but it could to you. Okay, so now we're going back with the bearing collar and then the two tension washers that belong on here. Now these are, they're curved. And I've mentioned on other ones, they can spoon, they can go opposing, or they can go face to face and each one of them has to do with the sensitivity of the star drag adjuster nut. So determine what works best for you, and then make sure that you set it that way. If you ever have any questions, just go back to the way that it was originally set when you took it off. Okay, so that was this one. Now there's a spring that goes. I have the cup upside down on this nut, I just noticed that. There's a little channel for the cup here, so just pay attention to that when you're putting this back. Now the spring sits inside that cup. Next up is the adjuster, and you'll see when you press down, the adjuster is going to sit in that square block here. So you set it accordingly. Next up is the handle. There's a little metal washer that goes on before the handle. Now the handle. And I'm holding that adjuster nut down as I do this because there's nothing holding that nut assembly on until you bring the top nut up. So here we go. Now we got the nut on. We can adjust down the drag. We can tighten up the handle nut. Give it a crank. Just adjusting the drag a little bit more. And then we can just simply reinstall the reel. So it's not a difficult task. It is one that from time to time you find has caused a problem. In this case, it was just stripped out thread. There's no need to throw the reel away. It's just a matter of finding the replacement part. And when you do, just being able to work on it. Okay, so now we're on the open side here. It's tough to see because of the glare, I'm sure, but there is a sign that says open, and then lock. It's a short turn, lock, a thumb screw will complete that. That was the first screw we took off. You didn't see the handle assembly taken off, but that's not a problem. And then just want to make sure it works again. So we've got the handle back on now. We got the free spool release. We want to make sure that that travels well. It does. We want to make sure that it returns on the click. And there we go. So that's how you replace the drive shaft on a Tica Caiman Striper LE201. I hope that's been helpful to you. You'll find that there's a lot of other reels that have this kind of a setup. And if you ever run into trouble with cross-stripped or worn threads and you can't retap them, then go ahead and get that replacement shaft and follow a similar process to complete the work on the reel that needs that replacement part. So I hope you've enjoyed that. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you for watching.